All right, Carl, three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Hoops Journey. What an episode we have for you today on a Friday morning, a beautiful Friday morning. I hope it's just as nice over in Victoria as it is on the mainland. Episode 158. And holy smokes, what a 12 months for this young man here from the Vancouver Bandits, transferring from. And let's not get it twisted, right? Like this guy had a lot of success before he transferred over to the Uvic Vikes. If you do a quick Google search, national finals, some semifinals, a little bit of heartbreak, so some things that we'll get into. But I had the opportunity to go check this guy out at a couple Bandits games last summer. Also caught the quarterfinal online and then was at the final in person. And he was clearly the best player on the floor in the final, no doubt. I want to know how many Red Bulls he took before the game because the energy coming out of this guy was unbelievable. I was sitting next to Eric Heinrichsen, and he tweaked his ankle kind of mid third quarter, and we thought there's no friggin' way he's going to let Murphy sit. Even though they're up 25-ish, there's no way he's letting Murphy make him sit for the rest of the game. So the best player on the floor, pretty overwhelming time for this guy, but all well deserved, a hardworking dude, an unbelievable hooper, and a great human being. We have none other than Mr. Sam Maillet with us today. How are you, sir?
Doing great, man. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for having me on.
You know what? When hard work and dedication to a certain craft comes to fruition, I think it's important to reflect on it. It's clear how you play the game that you are a team guy. So I think that nobody listening to this podcast can be like, oh, blowing him up again. At times, watching you and your body language, tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like maybe sometimes you're like, it's just a little even uncomfortable for you. You'd prefer to just be out there grinding, diving on the floor, doing your thing, playing your role to help your team success. Am I right in those thoughts?
I guess maybe I think I got comfortable with that. That's what I felt like I became known for. So maybe what I'm used to, but recognition and stuff and getting some of that, validated is definitely fun and it's cool.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, man. And first of all, I want to talk about your last name, and I made sure I didn't butcher it. I've heard it many times. It's when you do a podcast, it's like, and I start rambling and doing an intro, and then I'm like, shit, how do I say his name again? Talk to us. You said, my name is Acadian. So
Yeah.
for the listeners like myself who are shamelessly ignorant to that, tell us a little bit about what an Acadian name means. And I'm hoping
Um,
that there's some East Coasters rolling their eyes at me, and that's okay.
for sure, man. Acadian, it's part of Canadian history. It's early French settlers, like 1600, and they early settlers on the East Coast, basically. And
Hmm.
then that group of people was part of grand deportation by the English. And so Acadians got split up all kind of through the United States. Got a lot of people down in Louisiana, all through English colonies.
Hmm.
And then a lot of Acadians ended up making their way back to the East Coast. So there's a lot of proud Acadians out there.
Shout out.
So
Have
that's my
you
name. Yeah.
have you done a dive or your family done a dive into like how your lineage and how far that goes back? Have you done one? Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my dad's side.
Okay.
So we did some figuring out that likely my family was around Massachusetts and went from there back to Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And,
That's
yeah,
dope.
that's where I got a lot of family history.
Amazing. Awesome.
Mm.
And dude, I mean, what a whirlwind. Like you kind of giggled when I was talking about your 12, 13 months here, getting the opportunity to play, some professional hoops, making a huge decision, literally, kind of coast to coast, following a coach and mentor that you've worked with for a long time. Mid-season, you're one of your best players and a top scorer, and the country goes down. You have a group of guys that are still able to win the national championship. You're defensive player of the year in the entire country. You get named MVP of the Final Eight, which was very well deserved. Have you paused yet? Has there been a moment? Has it been like what does one go through when all that happens and comes to you? And you know, we know you've had a few lucky loggers to enjoy, but I'm sure you're back in training mode, getting ready for the Bandits. So just talk about, if you can, summarize all that. It's a very cool part of your journey.
Yeah, it's I've had a few moments to reflect on just like what a fun time in life.
Hmm.
and it's been an amazing year. It's
Yeah.
been cool of getting to meet so many new people and have this have these successes. But yeah, I've had a few moments to reflect, try to take it all in.
Yeah.
Has been difficult though. Like I was laughing to myself the other day that um, these are a few things that I've dreamed of accomplishing
Hmm.
since I was like 5 years old, and
Yeah.
I'm getting straight to working on like a group project while school wraps up, and so I'm trying to get the moments to sit back and take it all in, but it's at the same time, I'm just rolling with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, taking it all as it comes.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it- we just had Adam Page on the our previous episode, and he talked about the
Mm.
difference between, and like when you become pro, it's like, okay, if your day doesn't go well or your previous game, you can go and work out like 3 times. And, whereas like when you're a student athlete, it's like, okay, congratulations, good job. But we're on some crappy flight home from Alberta on Sunday and we got class Monday morning, and we know how all that goes for accountability and, student athletes and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot to unfold there. I thought it was just so great and special. And I thought one of the greatest moments was, a guy like Diego, and this is your episode, but just sort of his story. What was the feel for the team before we talk about you and hoops starting at 5, sounds like, which is awesome. When he goes down, what's the conversation like and how do you guys stay focused? I thought we brought all our basketball kids out to the UBC Uvic series early on. And I
Mm.
thought there was a clear intention by Murphy. You could tell, like first quarter, Diego goes and he sits. And I'm like, okay, this is different than what I've seen before. Whereas maybe Diego's playing 35, 38 minutes. Like you could tell that coach had a clear sense of we need 8, 9, 10 strong here if we're going to make a deep run. Now, those are all assumptions while I'm eating my popcorn up in the bleachers with the nosebleeds, right? So put me in my place. But what's the locker room like, and just share whatever you feel like you need to when that happens, and how do you continue to keep rolling, perfect league season, like, and it just seemed like you guys didn't, maybe a little bit of a letdown in the Canada West. That's probably the one thing you wish you could get back, but hey, it happens. What are the thoughts with the team? Because it was just amazing how you guys were able to just stay united and keep working towards your goals.
Yeah. With that, I'll start kind of with what you mentioned about kind of the UBC series and how and what you saw there. And
Mm,
I think just big credit to Diego right away, because I feel like he was kind of one that set the tone early on in the season
mm,
with his leadership and a lot of the guys. We had a great team of vets, and right away Diego was ready to, sacrifice any accolades like time, amount of shots. And that was a big theme for us early on was we have, so many veteran guys, so many leaders, that we got
mm,
to let everybody be able to lead in different ways. And that was a beautiful thing about our team. We wanted each other to step up in different ways. Um, and so then, when Diego did get hurt, just like initial response for everybody was heartbreaking.
mm,
Such a sad thing, and brought the guys together the next week of practice, and just I remember bringing everybody together, and understanding that sometimes I think when something like that happens, the initial response is to just next man up, like let's get straight to it. But I think when you have a team that is trying to form a really deep bond, you have to take that as something terrible happened to our friend, and we have to reflect on that, and we have to acknowledge what we're feeling, and then we have to turn it into something that we can move forward with. And so I think that following that, there was an extra sense of motivation for guys of wanting to do this for a friend first, and yeah, from there, everybody was we had to play in a different way. I think we
yeah.
started playing a bit of a different style of basketball, and it took some learning. Like there was a learning curve, um, but we never our confidence was never shook in terms of us like still being able to get it done. That never
Hmm.
left. But if anything, it was just an extra added.
Yeah.
We want to do this. We want to do this for our guy.
Yeah. Like we already wanted to. Now you're
Yeah.
just now you're just stacking more chips. Let's go. Yeah. And I
Mm.
think that's awesome, um, your leadership ability, to be able to, because I think those moments right there, like the coaching staff can say whatever they want, but you guys are the guys grinding every day together, and like that they're obviously connected, but that moment does have to come from a player, I think, right? Did you process that? Is that why you had that moment because you figured like there's nothing these coaches can say without, because we're the ones kind of physically doing this, if what I'm saying kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's always going to be a bit more. I think
Yeah.
coming from a player and for everybody to get together, and the coaches were great through that process too. But I mean, I was really proud of the moments. Honestly, I was most proud of during the season. Obviously, winning a national championship was cool.
Yeah. All
But
right. Yeah.
how we bounced back after that, and we those moments of togetherness, I think, was what made our team,
Yeah.
what it was.
Speaks to character for sure, man. And when you get kind of older, 40, 47 now, you kind of you appreciate different moments along the way. And I just thought like just seeing the emotion come out of Diego was special, and you guys and your obviously and your little viral moments with the hug and everything, it just said a lot. So it was very cool. Thanks for sharing that. Let's go back, man.
Yeah.
Coast to coast, like butter on breakfast toasts. You know, talk about yourself as a young guy growing up, and why basketball was for you, and how good of a skater are you? I'm like a rubber chicken on the ice, but talk about yourself growing up and what life was like for you, man.
I'll address the skating first, and crazy that I can't skate.
Wow.
Yeah,
Take away the Acadian name. No, I'm kidding.
yeah,
So you're
just
like you're
wasn't for
like an
me, man.
anti-Canadian like me, man. Yeah, welcome to the
Uh,
club. I'm just kidding. I'm
yeah,
not anti-Canadian. I mean in the sense that
gotcha.
we don't
Yeah,
skate. Yeah, no, no,
no, we can't skate.
nobody clip that up or whatever. But yeah, yeah.
Anyways, my basketball started for me right away. My dad played. He played at Calgary and Ottawa, and so kind of put the basketball in my hands as soon as I was born. Put a Celtics jersey on me.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Big C's fan. So,
That makes sense though.
um,
Like.
yeah, yeah. And so I grew up just watching. He had a ton of old game film and the VCR tapes of like 80s Celtics Lakers games, and so I just grew up watching those. Like those were my cartoons basically.
Love it.
And
Love it.
so I always played basketball, right away. And I played a lot of sports all the way through. I played soccer growing up. Soccer was um, I think I might have been better at soccer for a good little while. Yeah, I played those are my main two sports, but got into track and field, cross country, volleyball, kind of anything I could play.
Hmm.
Um, and but yeah, then towards end of middle school, basketball started standing out. Um, had some great experiences with Team New Brunswick teams, and nationals and everything. And I was kind of from there that I really knew basketball was, what I wanted to take to the next level and what I felt like I enjoyed the most.
Um, did you grow up in like a smaller community? Were you kind of mid-sized? Like what was your community situation like?
Moncton definitely isn't. It's the biggest city in New Brunswick, but New
Hmm.
Brunswick isn't too big.
Yeah.
So it's a
Obviously
very yeah,
relative.
it's a
Yeah.
very it's a very tight basketball community, is what I'll
Yeah.
say. You play with and against the same guys all the way through growing up, and very proud and strong community there.
Yeah, I had the opportunity as a player to play in the provincial teams and then coached a few years, and it was always kind of fun to see the smaller province teams because it just seemed like you guys were even more connected. Like New Brunswick always would have fans, they'd have flags. Like there was, a big sense of that pride, and you could see it for sure. For you as a player, getting the opportunity to go and go to those, national championships and stuff and see other players. What are you taking when you come back? You're like, holy smokes, I got work to do, or and what's your approach? Are you a morning guy? Like when does it like you say, okay, I liked basketball, but when does it really start to click and become like your thing, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say kind of. I felt like it went in waves, like I
Mm,
knew that I loved basketball. And but when I felt like I really knew that I could maybe play at that next university level, honestly, it wasn't until grade I felt like I questioned it. I was pretty small in grade 9 and then 10 and
hmm.
questioned if I could make it at that next level. And yeah, probably grade 9 or 10 was when I really was I know that that I want to get to this next university level. And
Yeah.
with the Team New Brunswick stuff, yeah, it was really cool to see the level of basketball around the province. And I'm we're coming in there with our teams, and our tallest guy might be like 6'5", and
Yeah.
but we're just going out there to battle and have a good time. Um, and some New Brunswick teams, ended up doing really well at those. So it was
Yeah.
always we always felt like we, played with the chip on our shoulder, and I've definitely brought that with me. And so, very thankful to all the coaches I had growing up that kind of instilled that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, you talk about kind of grade 10ish, thinking post-secondary is an option. What's the process for you like, out in Moncton? Like, how do you get exposure? Um, you know, was there other schools that were your choice? Talk about a little bit about that recruiting process and how you came to decide, what you wanted to do. And are
Yeah.
you a school guy? Were you a school guy? Are you now a school guy because you're in your fifth year? Like, were you just like a typical teenager like me, like C's get degrees or whatever,
Yeah. I have been a bit of a school guy.
Okay.
I won't lie.
Yeah.
But the recruiting process for me kind of kicked off in grade 11 really. Dalhousie was actually the first ones to reach out to me.
Okay.
And I'll never forget that day, how excited I was. Um, yeah, I was grade 11 at a tournament in Rothsay, Netherwood School. And I have, Rick Plato come up to me, shake my hand, great game, buddy boy. And starts talking to me, giving me the whole recruiting spiel and everything. And then from there, I had a great relationship with Plato, and I was really excited about Dal from the jump, and talked to a few other schools like on the East Coast, but I committed super early
Okay.
in the first week of my grade 12 season to Dal because I felt like I knew didn't really want to go anywhere else, and
Hmm.
yeah,
So
so
it just fell right away. Was it because they were first, or was it just the relationship, or like what were comfortable? I don't know what reason.
yeah, everything felt right. There was a lot of
Mm.
reasons. My dad coached as well against Plato in the ACAA when he was still there. So
Yes.
I actually have I used to ride around with the team that my dad coached, and I remember being in the gym. Thankfully, I don't remember it too much because I would have been like, "Who's this crazy guy yelling? I don't want to play."
Love it.
But anyways, I just knew Plato from that. Had a good relationship with him, and loved Halifax. It was far enough away from home, but still close enough,
Sure.
where could go back whenever needed.
Hmm.
Um, what else? They had a great team, guys that I found myself looking up to, and it just seemed like the culture and program that I really wanted to be a part of.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I tell my wife one day we have an 8-year-old, but like when we're a little older to travel on our own, I'm like Halifax. We're going to Nova Scotia. Like I want to take her to Halifax. Is
Love it.
like a nicer East Coast version of Vancouver, if you know what I mean. A
Love
little,
Halifax. Yeah,
yeah,
I will definitely support you on that.
great spot. Yeah. Okay, and you talking about Dalhousie, storied program, storied coach, lots of history, lots of success, and you step in and wow, what a team as a freshman. Like holy smokes, right?
Yeah.
What are those first experiences like going from where you were to that next level? And what were some of the maybe aha or uh-oh moments that you felt along the way? Because that freshman year, wow, right?
Yeah, that team was special,
Hmm.
for sure. And my dad, I remember so many times through that year, my dad telling me, you might never be on a team as good as this again.
Yeah. Which is
Thankfully, I ended
like,
up, not,
which is awesome, but sad. You're like, shoot, man. Like I got four.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I think I get what he's saying, right? He's saying
for sure,
reflect and enjoy the moments. Like don't
exactly.
overlook things. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, that summer I went to campus in June, and stayed with actually one of my best friends now. I didn't know him at the time, but we met up and we were living together for the summer. And that summer was so much fun. We worked the classic working camps, work out before camps, work camps all day,
Yeah.
scrimmage afterwards, get shots up afterwards. And it was just a great introduction to life
What about in
there.
the evening, man? What about in the evening? No, you can leave
Uh,
that part out. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Break even. You
lower
break
lower
even on
deck
those
or something.
camps. The bank account starts full and you end empty. Yeah. Well, give a
How
shout
it
out. Who
goes.
is the guy? Who is your best friend? Who is this guy that you're doing all
Ben
this stuff with?
Shoveler, Ben Shoveler, man, and Mike
Okay, hang on
Shoveler.
here. Hang on here.
Yeah,
His uncle used to
Tim.
teach him my school.
Shout out to Tim. Tim's a great guy.
Did you
Really
know
close with
this?
him. I knew that he taught in Vancouver. I didn't know that
And
it was
he'd
at the same
always
school.
be yapping my ear off about his nephew at Dal.
Amazing.
He's a big boy, right? Like
Yeah,
was he on some of the junior national team stuff?
yeah,
Yeah,
he was.
yeah. Frick,
Mm,
that's hilarious, man. The world
yeah,
is
that's so
small.
cool.
Yeah,
Super.
yeah, yeah.
And so we stayed at actually his older brother's place, Mike, who played at Queens and Dal. Um, and
Amazing.
yeah, just I'm super close with their family, love them.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so anyway, and then that team, we had so many good players, and the level of compete in that, in those practices, and the level of focus through the year that we went 19-1 in regular season, was yeah, it was amazing. So getting to guard Alex Carson, Key Van Bino, Xavier Ochu, like all these guys, day in and day out. So that was huge for me, to
Hmm.
start my university career like that. Win the US first year, make it all the way to the national final, and we're up, I think 12 or 14 at halftime. And then Carlton finds a way. I was listening to your pod with Adam, and I was like, that sounds all too familiar. But so I've always remembered standing there, watching it unfold, and being in the locker room after with that group, and yeah, it was a great way to start off my university career.
Mhm. And so as a freshman, uh, that reflection sort of piece, thinking back, right? Obviously, heart going out to the seniors and things like that. What are your takeaways? And then how do you start to, because it's a unique way to start out, right? Like your dad says it right off the bat, you may never get this opportunity again. Man, you're up fairly big at the half and Carlton's and it's kind of just like it's true, right? Adam's very similar early on. They make it back to Nats, but never have a run like that again. So, what's the approach for you? Do you go home in the summers? Do you stay at on campus and kind of get a little job and keep training, or what's that look like for you?
For me, it was interesting because I did not play very much in my
Yeah,
first year.
I was looking at your numbers. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, not a lot there.
yeah.
So it was a year of a lot of learning and growth for me. I was out for most of the first half of the season, bad concussion,
Mm,
and I knew like at that national level that I wasn't ready to compete and succeed at that level, and so I could come in and mix it up for a minute or two, but wasn't ready to be out there for a while.
sure.
So following that national final was COVID. We get back a
Yeah.
week later. I'm in my dorm room, and okay, everyone's getting sent home. So COVID then became a really great opportunity for me to just get better. Like that was so huge for my development. We I bought like a outdoor hoop. I didn't have an outdoor hoop at that point back home in Moncton.
Mm,
Bought one, and just all I did was like form shooting outside and trying to fix my shot. Um, and that summer, was able to just really focus on working out, improving my game. And then we go into a full COVID season. The next year when we come back to Dalhousie, it's just practices all day. And so we are still practicing, 6 days a week, 5 or 6 days a week, scrimmaging all the time. And for guys who are in their fourth and fifth years, and I'm sure it must have been a
oh,
bit more exhausting and just like and draining. But for me,
you're like, let's go,
it was
baby.
such a good opportunity to get better. Like
Yeah.
I'm guarding these guys who are coming off of all Canadian years, and getting to go at them every day in practice. And so for me, it was really valuable to have that time to get better.
Hmm.
And then coming into my next year, which was my third year of school, second year eligibility, I started every game after that.
Yeah.
And so that period of time, honestly, was massive.
So what do you think were the biggest? Was it strength? Was it your ability to score a little bit more? Because I mean, everybody needs the grinder, right? We need a good defender, we need that rebounder, but also like you kind of got to make a bucket or two, too, right? Like
Yeah.
your time sort of expires as a role player if you can't contribute offensively. You know, you give us a good 2 minutes of energy, but if you can't knock down a midi or even a dump off, well, you know what I mean? So what when you think back, what were the biggest jumps for you?
Yeah, biggest jump was just becoming, at least capable, at least a
Sure.
capable shooter. Like you said, I can step up and knock one down. Like you have to respect it a bit. And what got me on the floor in that third year was, I was going to be, I guess my second year eligibility was being able to be that like defensive lockdown guy. And so that's what kind of got me on the floor. And then I was able to stay out there because, I could hit a couple. And I was really embracing the like playmaking role more. I grew up playing point guard my whole life. And so then getting more confident in that allowed, me to be able to set
Yeah.
guys up like Alex Carson and Keevan and Shamar Burrows, being able to play in that point guard role and get
Hmm.
those guys off ball a little bit more.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's
So
awesome.
those were the biggest points of growth.
Which is funny too, because you think about your unique experience. Well, I don't know, but like just sort of like smaller province, maybe a smaller city, but then because you're probably the guy on your team, it's like you get to experience, whereas maybe you're on a more, you've got like different dudes on your teams, like you're a wing or you're a post. You got to be the one, the two, like which in
Yeah.
the end ends up being a big benefit for you, right? You're comfortable, handling the
Definitely.
ball, but and you still carry that. I mean, you're not going to play point for 40 minutes, but if you get a defensive board, you're comfortable kind of bringing it up and getting us into something for a possession, which is an awesome thing. And it seems like for you, uh, like I felt like you could have played back-to-back finals and not taken a rest. Was fitness always your thing, or do you just find that you have a motor inside of you that doesn't turn off? Because like whatever, I see the hustle and everything, but I'm watching your pace back and forth. You don't stop, man. Like you don't stop. So is it? And some people are just freaks that way. Like our point guard at Brandon, he could like outrun the beep test. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, you don't even look like you're in shape. Like, was it a concerted effort or
I feel like a term that I've heard before, I forget where, but it was competitive conditioning maybe or something like
okay?
that. And
Yeah.
or competitive endurance is what I mean. And, being able to, because, some people can run, for forever. But being able to be in that competitive mindset over and over and over again,
Hmm.
is something that I feel like I've tried to train and work on myself. Um, and so, definitely fitness is huge. It's got to be in shape. Um, but ultimately you got to be able to have that mindset all the way through. And that's something that I guess I've worked on and developed, but I always had a little bit of.
Yeah, you beat me to it. So how did you work on it? Were you a book reader? It sounds like dad was a big resource for you in terms of not just being dad, but like that mentor that you needed. So how does one develop that mental side for you?
Um,
Watching tapes of Kobe grind it out, like, well, what? Or not? Sorry, Celtics.
I
I'm a
like
K,
Kobe too.
I'm a KG guy. So when they won the
Mm,
title, I was yeah,
I think just I always competed from an early age, and I felt like that got
it just didn't
some
matter.
in
The,
some
the
in
little
some
the little kid
landscapes.
competitor, right? Like,
Yeah, like
and
some
never lost
landscapes
that.
that can get pushed back, and for me, I think it was always elevated, and thankful that that
Sure.
was elevated. So, I mean,
It's a great way to
yeah,
frame it, man.
yeah,
I feel like
like
at
in
times, not to rant like an old man, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off here,
no,
but
go
like
ahead.
I feel like sometimes in the school system, I'm a high school teacher, right? So sometimes we are doing that. Like I'm a PE teacher and I see maybe the boys getting a little bit competitive in class and I kind of nurture it as long as it's appropriate, right? As long as it's not they're not making others or like, elbowing, but you put that so eloquently about just sort of like it was nurtured and built as opposed to sometimes people kind of try to dummy that down a little bit. And there is a time and place, but yeah, that's a good thing to touch on. I just wanted to stop and mention that. Yeah, I think we need more of that.
Yeah, so I was grateful I had that growing up.
Yeah. Sound like a grumpy old man, don't I? Yeah.
No, not at all, not at all, man. Yeah.
Oh, but that competitive spirit is important. So we get to a great run with Dal, right? Uh, this is one of the questions I'm really intrigued about here is why? How does the conversation happen? What are the dominoes that fall for you? And how difficult? Because I'm gonna guess that it wasn't just like I'm out of here, man. Like it must have
Definitely
been
not.
it must have been quite an emotional pulling time for a bunch of reasons. The relationships that you formed with players and coaches close to home. Had you made it out west for anything non-basketball related before, or so how does one come to that decision? It's a huge one, right? It's a huge one.
Yeah. So many factors involved,
Yeah.
so many things, outside of basketball, with basketball. Um, so my partner is from Vancouver.
Okay.
So I had
No
visited,
way.
yeah, met her at Dal. And then we had, so
No
visited out
way.
there a couple times.
Okay,
Um,
time out.
and- yeah,
Why did she go to Dell?
soccer.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so she was playing soccer there.
Man, the world's
Um,
funny, man. I love these
it is.
stories. Yeah.
So visited Vancouver a few times, visited Vancouver Island. And I'd always, thought of, getting out to the West Coast, trying out the other coast for a little bit. Because for me, it was a chance to see somewhere new. I think it's an amazing time to be able to do that, to be able to travel, see
Yeah.
different places.
Hmm.
And so that was kind of an early onset just in my brain, thinking, oh, it'd be cool to spend some time on Vancouver Island one day, whether that's in school or whether it's just sometime in my life. And then COVID kind of made an interesting, situation where I played 4 years of eligibility, but I spent 5 years at Dow,
Hmm.
had an amazing experience, loved it all. But then I had a year of eligibility left where I could use this grad transfer to play wherever. It could be at Dal still, and for me, it ended up being, a chance that I can, I think a master's degree is such a cool opportunity to see somewhere else, experience something new.
Hmm.
And then Victoria was always kind of on my radar. And they had a great team. And so, I had been talking to them. I started talking to them, at like the end of, towards the end of fifth year and everything.
Hmm.
And, and, uh, and at that point, I figured, I think that this would be such a cool opportunity. Go check it out for a year.
Hmm.
Um, and then they're going through a coaching change, and I began to start to think, well, okay,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Maybe I try to look for overseas stuff now. And then uh, Murph, I sent Murph a little text, and hey man, what do you think about what do you think about this job? And then he applies for it, goes through the process, gets it, and then when Murph got it, that kind of just fully solidified that that's what I was going to do. I
So
was
he hadn't
on
applied yet?
so just when it was all going down, we were kind of
Sure.
talking through it together.
Yeah.
Um, and he applied, and then from there that just solidified that that's what I wanted to do.
Amazing.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
many factors outside of basketball that
Oh
it's
yeah.
funny in Instagram comments where you see like
Yeah.
that it's all going to be about basketball, but there's plenty more to life. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I
mm,
think the thing that makes me jealous growing up as like a big city guy and being able to spend time in Brandon and people are like, oh, Brandon, it must. And I'm like, no, man, the small communities are great. It's like you can knock on your neighbor's door and ask for milk, and the door's probably unlocked. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things, and those all pull at you. And it's not just basketball, right? Like if you could have waved the magic wand and been like, in 12 months, this is what's gonna happen, you would have gone for sure. But you're going coast to coast, right? Like,
mm.
did your partner come back with you, or was she finishing eligibility?
Yeah, she's here in
Okay.
Victoria as
Okay.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's that. But like just so many factors, right? And it's
Mm,
it's not a quick pop home anymore, right? Like
yeah.
you might as well go to Europe if you're gonna fly back home, you know? So yeah.
Mm,
And so how, you touch on a good point, something we're always talking with our kids here as a teacher and as a coach. We had a very good point guard this year committed to UBC, and we talk a lot about social media and just, the provincials are nuts with the amount of, there's so many, media people out there. How do you just mute that? Is it just a belief and trust that you're doing the right thing and um, going from there? Because it is a good point to touch on that there is more to it than just the basketball decision. It's a life
yeah.
decision too.
And I didn't have, too much negativity. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
always
sure.
like, there it would just be the random one-off
Yeah, you're like, well,
thing here or there.
whose burner is that? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it really didn't affect me at all
Mhm.
because I knew what I had
Yeah,
at Dal, and I knew the relationships I had, that there was so much love there.
yeah,
So it really didn't bother me
that's a
at all,
good
to be
feeling.
honest. Yeah.
And then it sounds like you and Murphy had a pretty good relationship up to that point, and had developed a bit of a bond over those years as well. Before that,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, working with him at Dal was huge for my development.
yeah,
And yeah, definitely got close, and yeah,
cool,
amazing person, amazing leader.
yeah.
Yeah, so happy for that guy.
We were sitting at the game, and one of the coaches I was sitting with was like, you know, there's probably 15 to 20 U Sport coaches that have never even made a nationals. And we were like jokingly, right? This guy
Yeah.
gets his first head coaching job, runs the table in league, and then wins the national title, right? It's like he's gonna think this is a walk, but no, it's very well deserved. And I chatted with him a few times. I ran into him at the Bandits game, like literally days after he got the job, and sort of, which I'm sure you felt. You just recently went to an event, just sort of like the good and bad of having an alumni support, right? You know that there's a support system, but also like for him to step into that and knowing the history, especially on the coaching side, like you've got long-term guys. You got Bo, then you got Vitri, rest in peace, and then you got Ken
Mm.
Shields. So it's kind of like, well, who's this East Coaster, And so kind of tread lightly. So it was nice. It was nice to see him get that success and sort of put that stamp. And I'm sure you felt the same. Because it seems like you guys have a good relationship, and it was really, really cool to see. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
man.
I've said a couple times I'd run through like 50 brick walls for that guy. So,
Yeah,
I'm so happy that we were able to get it done, especially, in its first season.
yeah,
And, yeah, knowing, what we had this year to get it done
yeah.
for him.
It's awesome. Okay, so we've done something unique here, man. We reached out on the IG and asked people if they had questions for you, which was fun, and we actually got some good ones. There's a few hair questions. Obviously, the flow. I don't talk about hairlines anymore. It's not appropriate for me, so I'm just going with the bald and beautiful these days.
Love it.
So let's two-part this. So one, do you use like a two-in-one shampoo? Like, what's the hair routine? And then two, a very good question was, what were the differences? You answered one question is why did you decide to play out west? So thank you for the listener for asking out that, and I hope that answered that question. I thought it was really good. But just sort of what were the main differences between, say, a US style ball and Canada West style ball that you noticed right off the bat? So the floor is
Yeah.
yours, my friend.
Part one, that question, no two in one for me.
Okay.
But whatever works for everyone.
Yeah.
Um, Bit controversial, but
Oh,
actually nothing. It's not no
no.
all natural.
No.
It's great. Once your hair gets to a certain, like, after just a little bit of time, it can do it all itself naturally. And yeah,
I'm
so that's
speechless.
yeah, man.
Who was
Just
ex
water.
who was expecting this? Wow.
Groundbreaking.
Wow. Big time. Forget the rest
Yeah.
of the pod. That's big time. Wow.
What
Well, let's
else?
time out here for a sec though.
Timeout. Yeah.
Your hair got Kyle Julius to wear like a mullet wig. So that
Sure.
says something, man. That is a man who, there's some boundaries he doesn't cross. He's a pretty, he's a straight shooter, serious guy. I died when I
Definitely.
saw that. That was
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
you must hold a pretty good spot in his heart because for him to do that, I was like, yo, he must like this guy because that is not a KJ moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, love to Kyle, man.
So
Yeah.
good. He's the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so what were the biggest differences you noticed in style, AUS to Canada West?
Yeah. Can West, there's 15 or 16 teams. Forget how many exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You beat them
AUS
all. It doesn't
only
matter.
AUS only eight. And so AUS, you might see some of these teams like
Mm,
four times in a year. If you have four times just based off regular season, I remember there was a year we played SMU like six times because we played them in exhibition. So, you see teams so many times that every night becomes, a bit more of a battle. AUS, I think, especially in recent years, has been so competitive top to bottom.
Yeah.
And, you'll have like my last year there, we went 11-9, came in second, and then won AUS and had a great run.
Hmm.
But the team that don't make playoffs don't get to play in the Scotiabank went, like 8-10 or something. So that just like that margin of error is quite small.
Hmm.
Um, but I think there's always really solid guard play, and at times bigs. Nowadays more. There's been a couple of really good ones at X lately, a couple at Dow through the years, and I'm sure there's others somewhere.
Hmm.
But at out in Kent West, I feel like a couple more bigs everywhere, um, and I would say overall, everyone's a bit more skilled. I think everyone it's more likely that the guy off the bench will be able to just knock down a shot, come in. You got to treat everybody a bit like a shooter for the
Hmm.
most part. And AUS, what you'll find a lot is that everybody will be able to dog you, be able to,
Yeah.
and then it's a bit more, it might be a bit more physical, definitely a
Sure.
bit more physical.
Hmm.
And so just, I think you hear those, like, I don't think I'm saying anything surprising there, that
No.
people kind of like talk about. But it wasn't as big of a difference as I thought, having
Okay.
hearing those stereotypes and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't as big of a difference as I
Yeah.
as I was anticipating.
Interesting. That's good. And yeah, I think like the style is one thing, but the league play and all that, because as you know, Canada has budgets and stuff, so like it's the chance of Dal every year flying out to Alberta for a tournament is just not likely, right? So you just gotta, and then that's that grind of like you say, when you get to the playoffs, oh man, we've faced these guys 4 times, and there's nothing worse. It's great, but to go 4-0 to get that fifth win, but now it actually matters. It's like wild, right? It's tough. And you
Yeah,
saw it a bit this year with X and UPI, right? UPI with a huge comeback. So that's good stuff, man.
yeah, big
Um,
time.
yeah, yeah, for sure. One of the other questions too was, did you get any offers from down south while you were getting recruited? Or did you just commit so damn early and whatever, it wasn't even on your radar? And yeah.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, I won't be one of those guys like, oh, I could have went down south.
Yeah.
Nah, I went to public school in New Brunswick, and I wasn't that amazing coming out of my grade 12 year. I had a great grade 12 year, but for me, U Sports was the right path, right route. And I'm really glad it worked out the way it has, but didn't have any interest coming up.
Yeah. And that's like the second time you've been kind of in a humble way, but very reflective. Like after that, in high school, you're like, ah, and I think there is that thing of kind of it's good to be confident in who we are, but also a dose of reality is important. And then you talked about that as well after your freshman year, like going, I'm not ready for this yet. I need to put in some work, whereas some guys will just try to fake it and, I'll be all right. And then it doesn't work out because they're not really being totally honest with themselves. And that doesn't mean you have to broadcast it. Just
Mm,
means you have to have that personal reflection, which it seems like you do, which is amazing, man. Um,
thanks.
yeah, talk about your first time kind of so you finish at Dal and then you get the call from the bandits or whoever, the CEBL comes calling. How does that come about? And what a year you guys had. Man, I was really hoping you'd turn the corner. That Final Four weekend is wild. That's a wild weekend though. But anyways, such a
Yeah.
talented team. And in your kind of your answer, talk about what were some of the differences between U Sport and CEBL, just from coaching style, mentality of the players, the things that you saw that you were able to bring to your fifth year at Vic. Because it's a I don't know, you're walking around pros. You know what I mean? What a great experience.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'll never forget that call that I got from Kyle. And I forgot April or March,
Yeah.
asking me to come out, and initially it was just come out for training camp, see how it goes, and I had really good. I didn't, I wasn't part of like the U Sports draft or whatever, um, but just got the call for training camp, and I went out there, had a great 2 weeks, proved myself. and then got asked to be, on that first roster. And that meant so much to me, being able to step on a pro pro floor, like, um, coming from like the basketball journey that I've had, to get to that point was amazing to me. It meant the world.
Very cool.
Um, yeah. And I had so much fun with with the guys on the team last summer. Like everyone, I got close to a few of them. Everyone was very welcoming. We had a great coaching staff, guys that were very supportive there for you, who I appreciate a ton. And, I'm excited to be working with them again.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was a really cool experience. Like I felt there was something I could take away and learn from everybody on that roster, in one way or another.
Yeah.
And so getting to just be around those guys with that experience for a summer, learn from them was really, really special.
I mean, it'd be a waste to just go in thinking like, oh, I'm going to start and get average, 20 a game here. It's like, no, I better use this as an opportunity to learn and grow, right? And so is it, hey, come and work out with me? Are you an observer? What's your approach there? And I agree, the Bandits do a great job, right? They got, the sports psychologist, they got Timothy and coach, all the trainers and all those guys, right? And Tony Scott, that's my guy. Shout out T
Yeah,
Scott.
Tony,
That's the
shout out
OG
Tony,
right there. Yeah, he's the
big
best.
time.
You got Rands, like the coaching staff. You got Levon Kendall when he can make it, like, and you're gonna get Tyrell Mara, who's, I don't know if you know Tyrell's story at all. That guy's a D1 baller and just like he's
Mhm.
amazing. So I think they've done a great job. So what's your approach there? Because knowing that you're still kind of the university guy, right? I mean, it sounds like you felt included and you was good, but what's the approach?
Yeah, I think just in conversations with people, hearing about their experiences, um, what it's been like for them on their journey, whether it's, overseas, G League, some cases, stuff like that. For me, getting to play one-on-one with guys after practice was cool.
Yeah.
Like I remember, um, after practice one day, just playing ones with Kobe, Zach, like Dwayne, Taz, and getting that opportunity for me, to step up and try to like hang with these guys. You know,
Yeah.
that was really good for my development, and just, seeing the level that these guys are at, being in the gym every day, getting to know everyone's routines, like seeing the routine of everybody and, making my own, was big for, establishing that this is what I want to do, and
Yeah.
seeing how I can get there.
Yeah. And let's geek out for a bit here. From an X and O standpoint, what were some of the things that you noticed that were the biggest difference? Like U Sport, maybe you have like continuous ball screening and you got a few sets for certain guys to get them the ball in spots, but also knowing that CBL is unique in the sense that like you got to get a lot done in a short amount of time, right? And who knows, one guy head cases out who's 15 a game and they're gone, and like, or I got a contract, I got to go. So what were some of the things that you noticed right away that were different from the X and O's or maybe mine side of things?
From just the basketball, so like X's and O's, just the pace of the game.
Mm,
Everyone is gonna be faster, more athletic. You got to make decisions uh, faster, and then playing kind of less so organized sets and a lot more of manipulating space for your most talented guys and giving them space to operate, and
mm.
and let them be, professional basketball players that are, gonna make something happen. So I felt like that was a big like adjustment for me was, you
Yeah.
know we're not gonna run, a super complicated long thought out set, which, I've gotten super used to running,
Hmm.
and maybe it varies, across different professional, levels. Style might be different in Europe and Asia than here. Um, but I felt like we're always trying to manipulate space for our most talented guys to get the looks that we want,
Mm.
and just letting them, be creative. Yeah,
And if you're not manipulating that space, do they let you know?
I do hear about it. Yeah, if I, if you don't
Young
make a
fella, get the
decision,
heck out of the way.
yeah, don't make the decision quickly enough. Or, but that was one thing I learned, early on. It was big for just my confidence was, you got to make that decision with conviction. And as long
Yeah,
as you do it, with confidence and conviction, um, chances are you're gonna be okay. You're gonna make something happen.
I love that,
Just got to
man.
do it
That's
quickly.
yeah. Very true. And then, okay, so obviously, you're excited about upcoming bandit season and training camps around the corner. Um, what's the next steps there? Like, kind of agent talking about some things, continuing to play ball. Obviously, focus right now is that, but it's a weird world to be in, right? Because you know that there's going to be more, and then the fall looks different for you. So, what does that look like? Hopefully,
Yeah. Right now, just focusing on getting healthy and ready for for this bandit season.
were you feeling
That
pretty exhausted after season?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
in that final game, I did
yeah,
have a hurt my foot a little bit,
yeah.
but I think I'll be ready for training camp. So looking forward to that and just
That's
getting.
It's almost like the perfect time though, because the adrenaline's going so bad. It's like just retape it like a boot, and I'll
Yeah,
deal with the swelling tomorrow. Like this.
exactly what happened. Yeah,
There's no tomorrow because tomorrow is ice and feet up anyways. So just get me back out there, right? Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, and end of season, and then yeah, hoping to get some. I like to keep playing. I like to keep playing professionally Europe.
Yep.
So hearing from guys about their experiences over there and everything has been really cool to me because I know it's something that I'd like to pursue and keep going with.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. You ready? Did you do your homework on these
I
questions?
did. I
Oh
did.
boy, good.
Yeah.
Knowing that you got school and everything, but hey, okay.
Yeah.
Um, what are the greatest bag of chips out there, man? What do you got for me here?
I'm uh I'm basic, I'm classic, just original Lay's. That's
The yellow bag.
or red bag Lay's original.
Oh, the wavy, the you like the
Yeah,
yeah.
wavy ones.
Yep. Yep. No dip?
We can get some no depth.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are at Costco one day, try hell of
Yep.
a good dip. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, that's
You know, y-
classic.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Good
Okay.
stuff.
So just the salt. You know what?
Yeah, man.
I feel like we're very on brand. Do you ever find like because of the hair, people just assume you're going to be this like loud, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you ever get that?
I've had people assume that I listen to a lot of heavy metal,
Yeah, like
stuff
you're
like
like
that. And it's
Metallica.
not it's not,
Metallica.
I can get down with it, but it's not my favorite,
Well, let's get into it. Okay, dead or alive, you got the best seat in the house. You get to go to a couple shows, maybe name a few. Who you got? What are you going to see?
think Bruce Springsteen would be a legendary concert,
Have you had a chance
So
yet?
no,
Oh,
but I would say I think that'd be a top one.
I just went
Um,
November with my
no
wife.
way. Where were they playing?
It was at Rogers Arena. He was supposed to be there the year before, and he got sick.
Okay.
And so I've always wanted to go.
Yeah,
And I was so scared that like he was just gonna be like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I was like,
yeah.
wow, we finally got tickets. And this guy, 3.5 hours.
Wow,
Like he's limping and he's kneeling down. He's going to the crowd. 3.5 friggin' hours. No
that's
breaks.
amazing.
No breaks. Like a couple of like what's up Vancouvers and jamming the entire time. I
Wow.
was and you hear, right? You're like, oh, it's like this, it's that. And you've probably experienced something where someone tells you and you built up and you're excited for it. And then it's a million times better than what you thought it was going to be. That is one of those maybe five things that's happened in my life. So if you
Real.
get the chance, pay the money because
Yeah.
you really won't be disappointed, man. Yeah.
Will do.
Um, is there
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one?
I listen to a lot of Australian bands.
Oh,
One called Sticky Fingers. Um,
wow.
Listeners out there, check them out. Good songs.
Okay. So not the rapper Sticky Fingers, but listen to the band Sticky Fingers. So what kind of music is it? Is it like
Some rock, like
yeah,
alternative rock, probably. Yeah.
cool. Now is that what's the pregame headset?
Ooh, pregame headset really depends on how I'm feeling. I try to
Okay.
be, if I feel like I need, to get up, probably throw on some Kendrick, some good Kid, Mad City.
Yep.
But a lot of the time, honestly, I'm too amped up for games, and
Fair. I was gonna you
I need
mean
to settle myself. So this is a funny like there's a stretch of time where my coach was like, like you got to settle down when you get into the games. Um, so I started listening to Jack Johnson before.
Hey, some banana pancakes. Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any other, hoopers out there listening to Banana Pancakes before the game, but that was me. That's still me sometimes.
Uh, like, I mean, it's one thing, as a coach, but it's not it's a good problem to have when you're telling guys to just, with high school kids, I'm like, are you guys even excited? Like, can we go? Yeah, not. Very, very rare is it where you got to, kind of dumb someone down. Who had Ox mostly on the team this year? Like, if someone was in the locker room, who was in charge of the wireless speaker?
Oh man, who had it lots. One of our assistant coaches,
Yeah,
Terrell,
yeah,
Uvic alum,
yeah.
and a lot of pregame shoot arounds just Ronaldo.
Okay,
Ronaldo would set a nice vibe for us.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
a lot of
important.
Ronaldo.
It's an important role, right?
Yeah.
The kids always chirp me in class, right? Because then I play music, and then I'm like, "Hey, you go on aux," and then they just struggle. I'm like, "See, it's not that easy, right? It's not that
Yeah.
easy to be the one to pick the music for the people." So I've been going a lot of Bob Marley recently because the weather's been nice, and I just pretend like I'm in Jamaica having some sort of margarita or something.
Those
You a book or a movie guy?
a little bit of both. I was
Okay,
watching the episode with Adam, and resonated with what he said about, you're in university, it's hard to really want to read.
yeah.
So a little bit of both. Um, yeah.
Is there something that stuck out recently? A show, a movie, or a book that you've read, or an all-timer?
All-timer is Lord of the Rings.
Hey,
Yeah, I love
both
Lord of the Rings.
books and or the movies?
I've read them and watched the
Okay.
movies.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you are a
Um,
fan. You're a fan. Yeah.
yeah, I'd say Hobbit book over Hobbit movie, and then Lord of the Rings book. I mean, movies are,
Next level.
incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Amazing.
those are all-time favorites.
We just finished off Adolescence last night. Man, I was like getting emotional, man. I mean, like being a dad and then like like teaching kids is like it was a lot. It was heavy, but
Yeah.
would recommend. But very interesting. I don't know if you have future plans of wanting to be a father one day, but kind of just scary to think what's out there, online and what we got to do. Like the days of go play in the street until you're hungry are kind of over. So
Oh man.
it's an interesting one to watch. It's definitely a
Okay.
mind, yeah, it's a mind effort.
I'll have to
Uh,
check it out.
yeah, man. Pick one or two historical figures. Now it's it's an engaging conversation. You're getting what you want out of it, just like I'm getting what I want out of you for the last hour. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, and knowing yourself, you seem like a pretty low key kind of guy. So you probably don't want some friggin' overly extroverted person, just somebody you can have a nice conversation and a beer with or a coffee with. Who might those people be?
This one is tough, man. So many ways you could go.
You heard Adam struggled with it too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um, initial thought I went to two basketball guys,
Okay.
but two I feel like just amazing life guys. Also two Bills. So Bill Russell, I think,
Hey,
the amazing guy to talk to. I mean, all-time winner, you know, um, best winner of all time, but also just,
off the court.
social activist, like did so
Yeah.
much work, and at such a interesting time. And so getting to talk to Bill Russell about everything, off court and, what a leader,
Yep.
so that's one. And then other Bill is Bill Walton.
Hey,
Also,
Uncle Bill.
yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man.
And another guy who's very outspoken off court, just loving everybody, being a great dude, and I think he'd be a
Absolute
funny guy to,
character. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
absolute character. We'd sit back, probably rocking some tie-dye shirts and
Who
hang out.
knows what he might pull out of his pockets?
Yes. So I think it'd be really cool to, yeah, cool to, those two guys I think would be some great conversations.
Imagine the stories they could tell. Good, bad, and in between, like
Yeah.
between hoops, kind of racial, like everything. Wow. Good pulls. Two bills. Well done, sir.
Thank you, man.
You're stuck on an island for the rest of your life, but it's beautiful, but you only get to eat one dish. What's the go-to?
I'm going lobster roll. Yeah,
Oh,
lobster
well
roll with some
done.
fries and blueberry ale. And I'm sitting back like I do in PEI.
Blueberry ale.
Yep. Try it.
Whoa.
Good
Talk to
try
me here. Talk to me here.
it.
We are sponsored by a brewery. I don't know if you've enjoyed a
Okay.
Parkside, but yeah, what's a blue, tell me, blueberry ale.
Yeah, like I don't really know how to describe it.
It's like just a pale ale with a hint of like blueberry in it or what?
I guess that's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. Like, have you had anything blackberry
Yeah, I've
related?
had it.
It's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like the same thing, but blueberry and
But not like
compost.
on the sour tart side. It's a little more sweet.
No,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like a nice
yeah,
finish.
yeah. So
Wow.
it's amazing.
Lobster roll, fries, and a blueberry ale. Tell,
We'll get you to Halifax. We'll get you out to the East Coast and we'll try it.
let's go. I'm
Yeah,
down. I'm down. Yeah.
lovely.
Wow. Lobster roll. Well played, man. Um, Great episode. Appreciate your time. Who's out there though? Who's
Mm.
got the next episode? Who's someone that we should chop it up with that would be fun to share their story as well and their hoops journey, no matter where they're at with it, man. But like we say, make sure you know they'd be down. I don't want to have that awkward text conversation and then get left on red. Okay,
I
it's happened enough already over 158 episodes.
oh man. I think naturally Murphy Bernatowski
Yeah.
I think could have
That's
some
too
great
easy,
stories, you know.
man. You gave a
It's
layup.
too
Come on.
easy. That is
He's
a bit
on
of a layup.
he's on the dartboard, right? Like, come
Yeah.
on. We gotta give time
Well,
between you two. We can't go back to back Uvics. Like
yeah.
all the UBC fans will stop listening, you know?
Um, then I'd bring him back to Dal, just another person close to Malcolm Christie, if you can
Okay.
get him on. Yeah,
Awesome.
have some good stories to share.
Perfect, man. Love it. Let's do it. Listen, it was great connecting with you. It was awesome that Robbie Kinnear kind of gave me a heads up about you guys chatting. Many mentions in here about how the world is a small place between, your bestie, guy I worked with, just so many different connections. All the best to you. I'll make it out to a couple Bandits games. I'll see if I can say hi. I don't know. I popped into a practice last year, so it'd be good to pop in again. But last thoughts, ideas, reflections before we let you go, and you got to go get to class here, man. So,
Yeah, just thanks for having me on. That was a lot of
mhm.
fun. Yeah, thanks for doing what you're doing, connecting Canadian basketball. So
Yeah,
I appreciate
yeah,
that a lot.
my pleasure, man. And I think if people could take one thing away, no matter where they're at, is if you just kind of keep believing in yourself, have a good attitude, be honest with yourself, and work hard. Good things come to those people, and you're one of them, man. And you deserve everything that's come to you. But I know that you're not satisfied, and I know that there's more to come. And it's also good to know that future hair sponsorships will not be a thing for you. So if anybody out
I
there
don't
was
know
thinking, if they're going to throw
if
some money in your pocket,
oh yeah, sponsorships, I'm open to them. Send the call.
awesome. I love it. It will sell his soul for the money. I love it.
Yeah.
Episode 158, an absolute banger with the U Sport Final Eight MVP and Defensive Player of the Year for the entire tournament, and a gentleman who can now call himself a friggin' national champion. Check him out with the Bandits this summer. Thanks to our sponsors, and we will see you on the next one.